Hey, welcome to the first ever episode of my brand new podcast. It's called Checkered Flags and Money Bags, and this podcast is just all about gambling on NASCAR races. In particular, the Cup Series, Xfinity, and Truck Series. Not really going to touch on those too much, mainly because I'm going to be um, recording this podcast mostly on Saturdays after Cup and qualifying practice. And so those Xfinity and Cup or truck races will have already passed by the time I record this show most weeks. Um, for those who are new to gambling on and racing or NASCAR or anything in particular, I'm not really going to get into the basics of it. If you're not familiar with the terms of gambling or NASCAR, you might want to check out another video that gives you a quick rundown of how to all the basics and the terminology and all that, and then come back and check this out after that. I am not a professional gambler by any means. I do have a regular job Monday through Friday, so don't be gambling your life savings away on my picks and then trying to blame it on me. I'm not a professional. Last year, I think I basically broke even. You know, I had some good picks, had some that didn't come through, but I'm still paying my bills with a regular 9-to-5 job. So please bet responsibly, and whatever basic rule, if you can't afford to lose it, don't bet it. All right. Okay, let's get into some of the bets here that I'm pretty excited about. All right, I love NASCAR. I'm pumped. We got the Daytona 500 coming up. And before we get to that, though, I'm going to touch a little bit on some futures bets. Not a big fan of futures bets, I will admit. Last year I did pick Ryan Blaney to win the championship before the season ever even started. However, I did not place that bet until after the playoffs had actually already started. He was plus 1,000, I believe, at the beginning of the season. I didn't put my bet in until the playoffs. I think I got him at plus 150, so I lost a bit of a chunk of change there. But I don't like tying up my money for a full 9 months on one bet. So that's why I've never been a big proponent of futures bets. But for the sake of this podcast and not wanting to lose out on that big chunk of money like I did last year, this year I am going to put in a futures bet on our champion for the Cup Series. And that driver this year is going to be Ross Chastain. Now, the reason I am betting Ross Chastain this year, first of all, you've got to be the NASCAR Cup Championship comes down to one race at Phoenix at the end of the year. If you're not good at Phoenix, you're not going to win the championship. You also have to be good enough to get to that race and qualify for that final race, be one of those final four drivers that's in that final race, racing for that championship. The last 2 years, Ryan Blaney has been that fastest car. Last year, he came in second to Ross Chastain, although he was arguably faster at the end of that race than Ross was. And the year before that, when Joey Logano won the championship, again, Blaney was the fastest car, but he wasn't racing for the championship. He kind of just pushed his teammate, served as a buffer between his teammate who was out front with Joey Logano and the rest of the field, and kind of helped him propel him out to the championship. So why would I not go with Ryan Blaney once again? Simply because of this. We have not had a back-to-back champion since Jimmy Johnson did it 5 years in a row from 2006 to 2010. I believe in trends. I like to bet trends. I will bet a trend until it is no longer a trend. So with that being said, until somebody proves that they can win a championship back to back again, I'm not going to bet it. And so I believe that Ross Chastain is ready to take a step forward and be that next guy that gets to that championship level. And he did have a fast car at Phoenix last year. So that's where I'm going with my futures bet for the Cup Championship this season. Now, what I do is I go through several different sports books. I'm actually on seven different sports books. I will go through each week. I will scour those sports books to find the best bets. So what I'll do is I will do my research each week on that upcoming race, find out who the best driver is, or the best drivers, who's had the best success at that particular track, what teams have been successful at that track, and we'll take into account, if that driver has been hot lately, who's been hot over the past 5-6 weeks, and then just take that, combine that with who qualifies and runs well in practice, and then go through the sports books and see who's got the best odds for those drivers that I like for that week. So for my Ross Chastain bet, I do not recall which book it was that I caught that on, but I got him at plus 2,000. And then, it was on DraftKings. Got him at plus 2,000 for the championship. Combine that with a profit boost. There was a 50% profit boost I threw on top of that. So I actually got him at plus 3,000 to win the championship for this season. For my Xfinity champion. Xfinity is tough. There's not as many. You got a lot of new drivers that are coming up from other series that you don't, maybe not familiar with. A lot of changes, a lot more changes going on in the Xfinity series. There's a couple of veterans that are veteran drivers that are favored in the truck series or in the Xfinity series. You have Cole Custer driving for SHR, and then you have Justin Allgaier with Junior Motorsports. Those guys, veteran drivers. Allgaier been on the cusp of winning that championship so many times, just can't quite get it done. But it seems like lately in the Xfinity series, the guys winning the championships are the ones who are the younger guys that are ready to come up and that are on the ascent, not the guys who have been around for a while. So I think Sam Mayer with Junior Motorsports, he really made a jump in the second half of last season, started putting some wins together and some good finishes. I think he keeps that momentum going this season and takes it all the way to the Xfinity Series Championship. Odds on him were not quite as good. I think I got him at plus 600, and do not recall which book that was on. I do not have any affiliation with any books. I'm not an insider with anyone. This is just a guy and his phone camera, just making a podcast just for some fun. Like I said, I'm not a professional in any way, shape, or form. Okay, other futures bets. We have over-under wins. Once again, I told you I don't like futures. I really don't like the future bets on these over-under wins. Most of the overs are minus money, and I'm not going to root for a guy to fail in order to cash my ticket, and they're just not good enough odds. You're talking anywhere from minus 150, 160 to like the plus side the same way. There's nobody there's no bets that are like plus 200, 300 or more, and so that for that reason it doesn't make it worth it for me to tie up my money that long. Just for a plus 150 bet, or most of them are right around even money. So no thank you to those. So if you're interested in doing those, well, you've got very little time to get those in before the race. I'm actually recording this one only a couple of hours before the Daytona 500. 'Cause I did not have time to get it done over the weekend, so I'm glad they got rained out over the weekend. Okay. That's it for futures bets. Let's move on to the Daytona 500 coming up in here in just a couple of hours from the time that I am recording this. Let's look at a couple of really key stats that I found before we look at any of the drivers. So, your favorites for the race, obviously, it's Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin's won this race 3 times, along with, let's see, we have 7 drivers in the race today who are past champions of this race, including Jimmy Johnson. He has won this a couple times. He had a great qualifying finish there on Thursday night in the duel to get into this race. That was awesome. So Denny Hamlin being your favorite, and along with see some of your other guys who are going to be your favorites. Joey Logano, always good at drafting. He is sitting on the pole. I'll tell you in a minute why I do not like him to win today. You have Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney. Bubba Wallace is very good at these, what I call pack racing. They don't run restrictor plates anymore. I call them pack racing tracks. Daytona, Talladega, and now Atlanta. So the reason why I said I would not pick Denny Hamlin, or not Denny Hamlin, the reason why I am not big on Joey Logano, even though he had the fastest time in qualifying, is that we have not had a driver win from the front row of the Daytona 500 since Dale Jarrett in the year 2000. And actually it happened 2 years in a row. The year before that, Jeff Gordon also won from the pole. Since then, no driver has started either first or second up there on the front row. So for that reason, I will be fading Joey Logano, as well as Michael McDowell. Slightly, you'll see that in a bit when I come back to that, because that is tough to go against Joey in this race. Also, back-to-back winners of the Daytona 500. Last time that happened was Denny Hamlin in 2019 and 2020, just a few years back. Before that, it was Sterling Marlin, clear back in the mid-90s in 94 and 95. Now, the reason I tell you that, once again, I like to bet trends. So the chances that Ricky Stenhouse is going to double up and win back-to-back Daytona 500s this year, I don't see that happening. And I don't see either of those guys winning from the front row. So the drivers that I do like. So these pack racing tracks, it is so easy to get caught up in a wreck. One little thing can cause you to get a pit road, any kind of penalty on pit road could cost you the race for sure. You have to do a pass-through penalty. You get stuck out there all by yourself, and the whole field just laps you very quickly because they're going 10, 20 miles faster than you, an hour faster than you because of the draft. So the Daytona 500, picking your winners for a race like this is pretty much a crapshoot. Okay, so I tend not to put a lot of money on these bets for this type of race, simply because your driver can do everything right the entire day, end up getting caught up in somebody else's wreck, and their day is done. In the past, you had 2 different strategies for this race. You either get out front and lead, and when the wreck happens, it's all behind you and you're safe. Or you would get out of line, drop all the way to the back of the draft, and just hang out there. And the idea was there you could watch the wreck happen in front of you, and then be able to have time to slow down and then weave your way through all the wreckage, and you would be safe at that point. And then when it got to 20, 30 laps to go at the end of the race, you would be able to, if you had enough power and drafting skill, move your way up through the field, get to the front, and win the race that way. With these new next-gen cars, very difficult to do that now. It's more of a you just want to try to stay out front. However, nowadays it seems like that wreck always gets started in that first or second row. So there's really nowhere to hide out anymore. So that's why I say it's really a crapshoot when you're picking these drivers. That being said, what I like to do is I like to pick one of the favorites in the odds, drop down about halfway through the field, pick somebody around the mid pack, and then go to the bottom and take a long shot and see if you can cash in. You know, sometimes we wreck almost every car on the track, and there's only 10, 15 guys left to have a shot to win. And, you know, who knows? That guy who's starting 38th out of 40 cars might just take it to victory lane. So I actually like the favorite in most of the books, who is Denny Hamlin. All right. I think every book but one that I saw out of the 7 that I looked through, it's Denny Hamlin. That's why you say 7 books. Why do you look through 7 books? Here's why. It's not the same as it is in other sports. In football, you look at the Super Bowl that we had just a week ago. The Chiefs in every single book were what, a 2.5 point underdog. You know, nobody had the Chiefs as the favorite. But so, you know, those in football, baseball, and basketball, those sports, even hockey, pretty much all the books have the same odds. When it comes to NASCAR, that's not the case. Okay, and right here is a perfect example. 6 of the 7 books had Denny Hamlin as the favorite at, I believe, 850, 850 plus 800, 850 or 900 to win. Okay. Over on Bet365, they have Denny Hamlin at 1100. Okay. So if you're throwing down $100 bet on this, you know, you're going from plus 800 to plus 1100. That's an extra $300 that you could win just by searching through the books and finding the one with the best odds for the bet that you want to place. Okay, and they actually have Joey Logano plus 1,000 as their favorite. But so I like Denny Hamlin there at plus 1,100 for a winner. Okay, and then I'm going to drop down about, like I said, midway through the pack. And who's the guy I like there? I got, the guy who I think is actually going to win this race, and that is the number 2 Penske Ford of Austin Cindric. He is one of the guys who has won this race just a couple years ago in his rookie season, actually. Heck of a way to start a career, winning the Daytona 500. Over at MGM, he is plus 3,500. Okay, so that is a little bit better of odds, you know, to for him to win. Obviously, he was really strong in qualifying, the single run qualifying they did. I believe he was somewhere in the top 10. I can't remember exactly where, but then in that dual race on Thursday night, whoever he was behind, he was shoving them towards the front every single time. So he's got a very strong car. Actually, all the Penske's are very strong, and we'll get back to them in just a minute here. But I do like Austin Cindric over at MGM plus 3,500 to win. And then my long shot, I dropped down towards the bottom of the pack there, and I found Zane Smith. Zane Smith is a plus 10,000 there at MGM. I really like that as a long shot. He's starting in the front half of the field, so his car's not garbage. All right, he does have a decent car. You know, like I said, they call them long shots because you don't expect him to win. So, no, I don't expect him to win. But hey, I had a free bet, so I threw that down on him. And if he doesn't win, nothing lost there. If he does, that one's going to cash really nice. All right. Great thing about the Daytona 500 is there are tons of prop bets. You're going to have more prop bets for this race than you will the entire rest of the year. And I'm not a big fan of those, but it's the Daytona 500. You got to have a little fun and throw some money on those, right? So one of the prop bets that I really like, oh, let me back up for just a minute here. Top 3s and top 5s. Not for this race. No thanks. I will bet those quite often throughout the year, but not touching those here at this track. It's not worth it for the odds that you might just get taken out in one of the big ones, the wrecks that take out 10 to 15 cars at a time. So I'm staying away from the top threes and the top fives. However, I do have a top 10 bet, one that I think has a decent shot to cash. Here's a guy who he's on the hot seat this year. Um, Harrison Burton with the Wood brothers. He's got to do something. He's got to show something this season, or I believe he will be out of that car at the end of this year, if not through the season. Who knows? But the Wood brothers are always strong at Daytona, and if Burton can just stay out of trouble, I'm sure he can bring that home for a top 10. And over at Bet 365, he is plus 275 for a top 10. And so I really like that one there. Okay, the other one is, like I said, I mentioned a little bit ago, I like Penske. Penske is very strong. You got three strong cars here. You have the 2, the 12, and the 22. Okay, Cindric, Blaney, and your pole sitter Logano. Yes, I said nobody has won the pole in quite some time, and that is a trend that I'm going to follow. But at plus 500 to get all three of those drivers, and that's you can get that at Caesars and ESPN. You can get those odds plus 500. I heard I heard that they were plus 600 somewhere else. I did not see that in any of the books that I was looking at, or plus 650 actually. Someone said they were. But I really like Penske. They got three very strong cars. If they can work together, they can definitely get to the front and stay up there and take this one home for Roger Penske. Okay, I said we need to get a couple of fun prop bets in there, right? Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with this one. I was surprised. This was at plus money, but winning car number, okay? Whatever car goes to victory lane, the number under or over 13 and a half. Okay. You would think, you're only going to give me 13 cars. That's probably not a good deal. I would rather take the other 27, or what? Well, no, I take that back. It's not necessarily the number of cars. It's the car number, not the starting number. But most of the field is over 13 and a half, okay? Most of the car numbers. So you would think that's a better chance. Well, I guess that's what the odds show. But when you look at the car numbers, the drivers that are in those car numbers, okay? Number 1, you got Ross Chastain. 2, you got Cindric. Then Austin Dillon, I believe. Let's see, we got Josh Berry in the 4. And then the 5, we got Larson. Brad Keselowski in the 6, Corey LaJoie in the 7, Kyle Busch in the 8, another great pack racing guy, Chase Elliott in the 9, Denny Hamlin's 11, 12 is Ryan Blaney. I mean, these are some really great pack racing drivers, so I like that one. I'll put a little sprinkle on that. I'll take the under 13 and a half for the winning car number at plus 135, and that's over at MGM. And then I have one other one, which is going to be the number of lead lap cars to finish the race, okay? When they throw that checkered flag, how many cars are on the lead lap? Now, they have really nailed this number because it's really close to what it has been in the past few years. And the number is 16 and a half. I'm going to take the under on this at minus 115. I believe it was minus 115 either way you go, over or under. And that was at Bet 365. The reason I'm taking the under, these guys had to sit. It's the first race of the year. They've already got enough amped up energy that they're ready to get out there and just get going, right? Get them cars fired up and get going around the track. Now they've had to sit around for an entire another day with this weather waiting to get out on the tracks. I really think they're going to be pushing it a little bit harder earlier on in the race, not intentionally, but just because they haven't been out there and they're they're ready to go and they're ready to charge to the front. I think it might take out a lot of cars early in the race with a big wreck, and then you get down there with, 15, 20 to go, and you're not, the guys sitting towards the back of the field are no longer sitting in 35th to 40th. Now they're sitting maybe up in 20th, and they're like, hey, there's a top 10 finish sitting right there. I can just push it, get past a few more of these guys, and get a top 10 finish. And that's when you end up having another wreck, which could take out quite a few more cars. So I'm going to, for those reasons, that's why I am going to take the under there. That is all I have for this week, I believe. Let's see. Okay, yeah, that's all I got for this week. Good luck with all your bets, and go get that bag. Thanks for tuning in.